Please let me know if you can see me now and hear me now, which is always good. Okay, thank you. That was scary. Okay, Dave here, how are you? Today is the 10th of December in Australia, and it is around about 6 or 7 minutes past 11 in the morning. Now, last week I must have had a bit of a fry down because I said it was 12 o'clock right at the beginning of the show. What a knob. What a knob. Okay. Now, there we go. Sounds good. Pick. Everything's good. All good. Ian Kerry, all good here. Good morning, Ian, Matt, Gregory, all good now. Excellent. What am I going to do today? I'm going to grab my sheet first. Coming back. All right. Oh. It's a bit scary. Sometimes, you know, do you know when Windows does a software update and you're going, oh, can I see? Is it going to work or is it not? Look, overall, I've been very happy with Windows 10, but the thing is, the software that's written for it doesn't need to have too much scrutiny, where Apple, Mac, all the software has to be approved by them because they don't want their system to look like it's got any fault at all. So I guess both systems have their advantages and disadvantages. So I'm Windows, and that's just the way it goes. I've been like that all my life. Okay, Gus Meredith, loud and clear in Perth. Bob Lewin, good evening, Dave. All good now. G'day, Bob. How are you? Jay Parra, I'm a little late. Just won an impact wrench and had to send email to give my address. You lucky sod. How cool is that? Okay, Jim, how are you? Now, Canada. I'm going to do a quick talk about something else. You know how I asked you guys to help support the show by using the links that I run through for Amazon. Once you're in there, shop to your heart's content. It's the way that I think that, you know, this channel can get some income to keep on doing what I do for you guys. And Canada and Spain have been a little bit lacking. So I don't care if you buy a paperclip, just as long as we get 1 or 2 more sales in those 2 countries, and then I'm good to go. I don't care if you don't buy anything more, but that would be great if you can. Gary Jones, g'day. I am well, thank you. Dave M, g'day from Michigan. How are you, Dave M? Let me read through this. As I said, I just did that little thing at the beginning. Now, also, if you're new to the show, the first few minutes, or maybe the first 20 minutes, is just me chatting. I'll throw up some viewers' projects, and I'll have a bit of a chat with you guys as well as we're going through, and some news, and then we'll get into the demonstrations. Now, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the dial indicator out again, because a lot of people were looking at the video that I did on the dial indicator, and they've been sending me messages in the background saying, Dave, can you use it to set your rip fence? Can you use it to do this? Can you use it to do the other? So we'll have a bit of a look at it, and I'll show you that you can use it on a drill press to check the run out on your quill. I may not actually demonstrate that, but I'll let you know it. I'm going to adjust the table saw fence on my saw, and I'll take you all the way through that. And also I'll test for run out on the table saw's fence. Now, I'll tell you some interesting things as we're going along with that one. I'm also going to try and clean the top on my table saw, and I'll show you how I clean cast iron here. And also there are some calendars. So it's a yearly planner that you guys can get yourself for free. Now, I did say at the beginning of the show, on the little notes that I put up about what the show is going to be about, T's and C's, there are terms and conditions, and I'll talk about that straight off the bat. If you want to get one of these calendars, and I'll show you one in a second, or when I get back into the show. Okay, the tapered bench dogs. I will answer that for you. Well, I'll do that right now, saying this. They are a TSO product. They're an aluminium dog that I used on the Stanton bench. I'm very impressed with them. They're about 0.1 of a millimetre narrower in diameter than Peter's Path dogs. Now that can be good or it can be bad, depends on what you're wanting to do with it, but I find once you put the clamp on underneath the speed knob or the festool knob, the 8mm knob, it locks those into position. There's really not a big issue in it. I'll give you a heads up also that Axminster have sent over some of their deluxe dogs, you know, the ones that you screw out at the top, and it's got expanding O-rings that lock itself into the Stanton bench. I don't know when I'll get to do the review on that, but it won't be too far down the track. I've been doing too many reviews lately. I'd like to get into making a couple of things again, which would be great. I think that's what you guys would like as well. Let me know by all means. But one of the problems is when you start to get a little bit popular, and I'm only a little bit popular, I'm nowhere near popular as some of the guys out there, manufacturers start to look at you a little bit more intensely, and you find these samples start to arrive. And as I said to everyone, I won't show rubbish samples. I ask a couple of people if I'm interested in stuff, but a lot of the time people send stuff to me and I'm polite about it, but some things I won't show, some things I think, what a great idea, this could be good, and share the news. All right, Dave, when do you think the UJK path guide system will be coming to Carbotech? I know for a fact that there are some coming. I was told by the purchasing officer the other day that they have purchased, and we don't know how long before they'll arrive, but it will probably be early January. So there you go. Zane, yeah, he was going to ask about cleaning the table saw top. I have a pussy cat shaped paw prints on your top. That's terrible. So does the cat just come in and lay around all over the place with wet paws? That'd be terrible for a cast iron top. Yes, please. Build vids are great, mate. Okay, Martin. Enough said. I'll do that. I've got a couple of things I want to build, and I've got in about 2 weeks' time, I've got some holidays coming, so I should be able to get into it pretty much then. I've got some things that I also have to do. Okay, let's do some more. Photos from where you're watching and projects you're doing in your shop. And John Lafferty has sent in a video for us, so I'll run that very, very soon. Now, John is not a professional videographer like me. I'm not a professional videographer. I've just picked up some cameras and had some fun. So John's just starting down that track, and he's built his version of the Ron Polk bench. Now, Ron's bench is fantastic. John didn't want to have the 2 long strips. He wanted 2 4 feet by 4 feet tables on roll-around cabinets. And it's very interesting to watch because he's also got a CNC machine that he made all of the side sections with. Fascinating to watch, as I may have mentioned. And he purchased Ron's plans. He said he didn't really need to follow them all that much, but he said the plans were fantastic, they're extremely detailed, and he likes to ensure that, you know, credit's given where credit's due. And I think that's a good system to have, because Ron's put an awful lot of effort into producing those plans, so it's fair enough that he gets some reward for it. Dave Monet, his incubator rebuild is progressing, nearly finished, and I've got some video there of just some stills, and we'll have a look at that. I put a post on Facebook during the week about a really old lathe, and I'll see if I can find it here for you. I'll drag this. I have all sorts of things happening here. I need to move windows around in my windows, and there, I've got it. I can drag that across now. And the lathe, part of this lathe, it's a timber lathe, this is part of the activation. It's a pedal lathe, which is fantastic, so I'll show you through that very soon. Builds are best, yes Gary, and Peter Wilson, excellent, thanks David. Rhiannon Oliver, morning mate, good to see you this morning. Planty3125, Dave, will you have a link to the Amazon Australia store? I have been looking for it. I think because Amazon's only early birds in Australia as far as absolutely everything you can buy, it will be a little bit before they start asking for affiliates to come in. But I will do that when it comes along. All right, without any further ado, let's jump into Dave Monet's incubator, and I'll run this for you now. I'm going to watch as it happens. Now, these are all the slides that he made for it, the draw slides for the inside of the incubator. And this is some moulding he had to make for around the outside, so it's been a total rebuild. He may have been better off just starting from scratch. These are the cladding, and this is a heat deflector. It's a metal sheet that's inside, so it directs the heat around the box. This is towards the front from the inside, and you can see where the power comes in. More of his milling up there waiting to go. And the junction box inside that hole in the front of the incubator, and this is one of the heating element that lives down the bottom, and the drawers all in. You can see the the heating element down the bottom. That's what that metal thing is for. It slides it around, makes the heat go up behind the ends of the drawers, and there's stops there so the drawers don't go all the way through. And he said he's a big fellow and it was hard for him to get inside there to put the drawers on. This is all the wiring he's done. He's used heat shrink on the connections and from the top, and I think that is about it. How nice is that? Dave's quite a talent, isn't he? He's having a ball, absolutely loving it. Okay, I'm going to have a quick look here. Planty 3125. It's not good, man. Okay, so is this the Amazon Australia store you're talking about? Fred Robbins, hello from Yamhill, Oregon. Okay, Rianne Oliver. Amazon Australia is more expensive. They have had some negative feedback. Some of the things are more expensive, but I found a couple of links in there when I did a really heavy search. I found some pretty good prices on some items, and I thought that's actually cheaper than you can buy locally. So I do see that there are a lot of things that are a lot more expensive. But once, give it a go, by all means. Next thing, we're going to get into John's Polk style bench. Now, I'm not going to talk about this. This is going to run for just over 7 minutes. It's his attempt at video. I think this is fantastic. His starting point is so much better than mine. Though he did do the Curta calculator. Remember that video we did, probably around 7 months ago? John did that one. It was fantastic. So here we go. No more noise. I'm just going to put it on.
So the time finally came to build some workbenches for the centre of my room. After searching the internet and much procrastinating, I found that the basics of the Ron Polk bench would be best. So I purchased the Ron Polk plans. I didn't really need them for the format I had in mind, but credit where credit's due, and they're a good purchase. There's a lot of worthwhile information in them. I didn't need the benches to be portable. Instead, I wanted them to be on wheeled bases with storage underneath. Because of the non-portable nature, I also changed then the format. So unlike the two original long tables of the Ron Polk bench, I could get 2 square tables. So after planning for 2 benches, I found that I needed 5 20mm 2.4 by 1.2 meter ply sheets. 2 of these sheets are simply cut in half, 4 boards, and they will form the tops and bottoms of the torsion box at the top of the table. 1 board is cut into 12 180 wide strips along the 1.2 meter width of the board. These are for the sides and the internal structure of the torsion box for the bench. From another board, I cut 4 1000 by 590mm boards. These will be the sides of the roller base for the bench. And from another board, I'll cut 2 1200 by 1000 boards, and these will be the base of the roller units. From the remainder, I could get 610 by 1200 strips, and these will be braces that'll go at the underneath the bench but at the top of the roller base. A quick trip into the local timber yard because they had much better ply than Bunnings, and had all the ply I needed plus a stack of MDF for another project. After doing all the ply sheet cuts, I started on the cutouts in the bench box sides and internal supports. For these cutouts I was going to use the CNC machine, so 1 cutout at a time due to the size of the bed of the CNC machine. So I took each long board and marked it in half, and then marked the center of each of those halves. That gave me a base mark for repetition work on the CNC. So set up each board. It'll cut one rounded cutout as per the Ron Bolk style bench, and repeat this for all 12 boards or 24 cutouts. It's a long job. And yeah, I probably could have done this with a drill and a jigsaw, but I like the nice clean finish you get on this, and made the job easy. I could walk away and just let the machine run. Found out later that I could have been running this 6mm 4-fluted bit at twice this speed, but you live and learn, and that's part of the fun of this. At the front of the machine you can see a bit of blue tape covering a laser that I haven't got up and running yet, but it's installed, ready for to be used. Once each board's finished with its 2 cutouts, there's little tabs left that hold the piece in. These are just knocked out with a chisel, and the board can be removed for paddles. Any uses, I don't know. As a final finish on the cutouts, I used a little roundover router bit on both sides of all 24 cutouts. Made it nice and smooth. Still on these 12 long boards, 4 are kept at their original length, 6 are trimmed by 2 times the thickness of the board, so 40mm, and then 2 more are cut in half to use as separators in the final layout that you'll see in a few minutes. And of course lots of pocket holes. I'm only doing pocket holes at the ends of each board and along one side, because one side will have pocket holes to hold the top on the board table, but the bottom will be secured by countersunk screws. And now there's lots of pocket holes screwing. This is to assemble all of the box frame, and then finally the countersunk other base of the board. Now working on the roller base part of the bench is probably not the best idea the way I did it, but anyway, this is the way it ended up. I put the wheels on and some cross braces. This not only gave it more strength, but will stop my dog from kicking a ball under there that she loves to do. So flip the base over and then on go the sides, and some cross braces with pocket holes to secure the top torsion box on. And there they are, the two 1.2 by 1.2 meters square Ron Bolk style workbenches on casters, storage underneath. All I've got to do now is some sanding and waxing and they'll be ready for use. Thanks for watching.
There we go. How good was that? Take my hat off to you, John. That's brilliant. So there you go. If you want to make a bench, and also he's got roll around assembly tables in that as well, just do it yourself. You know, it's not that hard. obviously, if you want to do something along Ron's line, well then grab his plans and enjoy it. Now, what's the next thing I have for you? All right, I had some people talking about this guy here. Let me get to it there. This is the part of the treadle, we call it a treadle lathe, and people wanted to know what the name of it was, and I shall put that up there for you as well. So there's some interesting stuff. If you can read through it, you'll see that it is a Fen ornamental lathe, and it was made in 1840 to 1870. And it was given to the Woodcraft Guild in Canberra. That's where I saw it. So I dropped in there during the week when I was wearing my Carbatech hat. I dropped into the South Veterans shed at Canberra as well, and they were a lovely group of people. But I will show you this lathe in action. Now, when they started the lathe up, it actually went in reverse for some reason. So it's got the massive flywheel there, and when he's pushed it down, it's just kicked into reverse. But not to worry. How nice is that? You see that spinning away and all the different gearing on it? Beautiful. Amazing. You know, we seem to think that we're much smarter than the previous generations. It's only the technology. That's the only thing different. Like, see how many things have been built. The Empire State Building, the Sydney Harbour Bridge. It's nearly 80 years old, that bridge, or maybe even older. And all put together with rivets. I saw a section of the bridge girders in one of the museums, the Powerhouse Museum, I think. And it was a girder that they'd done a stress test on. And I think to myself, unbelievable. You know, they anchored that thing into the Sydney sandstone either side. And they built the span, the arch. It came out with massive cables locking it back in. Now, this bridge is huge. You've got no idea unless you're actually in a Sydney. It's unbelievable. Anyway, just amazing things from the old timers. Now, talking about the old timers, this might be a little bit harsh, but down at the South Veterans Men's Shed, we did a Tormek demonstration, and it was interesting at the beginning. All the guys, you know, arms folded and standing off a little bit. Oh, we don't want to know about these newfangled things. But then after about 10 minutes, they're all around the guy doing the demonstration. It was fantastic. And what a great machine. I'm trying to get a hold of a second-hander from someone. So I'll let you know when I do, and it'll be great to use one because I had a play around with it while I was down there. And I got to tell you, I'm very, very impressed with the Tormek. There are other whetstone systems as well, but I think Tormek, that's all that Tormek do is make that one machine, or two machines, sorry, the T8 and the T4. So that'll be fun. On the way down there, I drove past this. Now, this is called Lake George. On the far side, there are wind generators all over the place. And that grass is the lake. Now, I don't know how often it fills all the way up to there or whether it's just boggy ground, but there's a lot of cattle and sheep graze on it. And then during the week also I had a visitor from this little guy one morning before I ducked off to work. He follows me around a lot. He's a wild bird, but you know, they're kind of semi-tame, and that's just great. Is everyone still there? I can't see any more chat happening. It'd be great if we see some chat. I'm going to get on to the demonstrations. Maybe everyone left after John's video. I hope not. Poor old John will be sitting in the wing saying, oh, please like my video. You'll be fine, John. All right. What are we going to do? What demonstrations? I did say, I'll read my list. Okay. Jim, Tormek are the best and only machine worth buying. The other copies are very wanting in quality and use. Thanks, Jim. 2 reasons for responding and also for confirming what I had thought. It's the wheel on the Tormek, which I didn't realise, has the abrasive held together by a weaker rock. Thanks, Dave. Held together by a weaker conglomerate. And you can grade the wheel between 220 grit and 1000 grit, I think. So all you do is you push this like a double-sided oil stone down on top of the wheel to rough it up, or you can smooth it off, if you wish, by putting the other side on. It's a very interesting situation. I'm very keen to get one. All right, let's head over here and we'll have a look at the other things that I've got set up. If I can get this camera to come around. Still there, still there, still there. Alrighty. Come around this side. There we go. What do you think of the LED lighting I've got in here, guys? It's making it a whole lot easier that I don't have really dark eyes now. The light seems to bounce around all over the place. It never happened that way with the fluorescent tubes. It was always, you know, more of a direct light. For some reason, I don't know. Now, what I have here is a yearly planner that I was talking about. I'll get a fresh one that hasn't had anything written on it. Now, of course, it's Festool. You guys would know that before I even held up. If I pull it back this way a little bit, that might work better. How's that? You can see that pretty much. If I go like that, that might be easier. Now, I did say that there's terms and conditions. Festool give these things away for free. The reason I like it is at a glance. Now, if everyone says to me, "Oh, Dave, I've got my phone. I use the calendar on my phone, or I've got the calendar on the computer." But normally that only shows about a week at a time. This thing I like because I can lay out the whole year in front of me. I really enjoy it. I can put all the kids' birthdays on here, the grandchildren's birthdays. I know exactly what's happening. I can be a popular grandparent by using this. I can also put on when I apply for holidays, any event that's going to happen, what days I'm working, what days I've got off, any other wedding anniversary, very important. So these things are great. Now, how do you get a hold of them? Walk into any store that sells Festool and say to them, "Dave told me that Festool do a promotional calendar it's a yearly planner. These things are free. I think I've got around 10 of them down at the store in Sydney that are just sitting there. And I've been saying to people, "Oh, would you like one? Would you like one?" They go, No, I use my phone." Well, I'll tell you what, I'm a little bit older than probably most of the people that work with me, and some of them are full-on tech heads, and I'm not. I try, but I'm not. So I like to write things down a lot. I don't know about you guys, but it could be. Anyway, as I say, that is how you get a hold of one. They're the terms and conditions. You must walk into a store that sells Festool and say to them, "I think that Festool are giving away free calendars. Can you ask the rep if he can bring a couple in for us?" That's all that they'll say. Because they offer these to the stores. When the reps come in and offer them to the stores, and a lot of people say, "No, not interested." Well, I turn around and say, "Yes, I am interested because I love them." All right, next thing. Next thing. What have we? Dial indicator. I'm going to spin it around this way now. Okay, now you're talking about the camera mucking around a little bit there. What I've got is, and I just grabbed feedback detected, okay, this is a silly thing. We'll turn that so it doesn't. Alright, old school, seeing it on the wall is easier than on the phone. You know where you are easier. Yeah, see up behind me, can you see? I'll go around to it. Up here. That's mine. I love it. It's there always for me to check. Now, with the camera, this is a webcam camera, so it's not going to be as brilliant as some of the other cameras that I use. So it has one setting, and I leave it set at that. It's not working. It's not working automatically. It's not setting itself automatically. I have set it to one setting, so there will be some things that overexpose and some things that don't expose enough. Righty. I'll bring the camera in slightly closer for this particular thing. And we'll see if it's going to work. Now you may or may not see this. Okay, this is my dial indicator right here. Now I'm going to slide it along beside my fence. Now you probably won't be able to see what it's reading. I'll bring it all the way back to here and just watch and listen to what I'm talking about. Glasses, of course, makes it a whole lot easier. I will tip this camera back up again a little bit to there. That should be okay. That should get me when I come back into shot. Not really. Maybe if I get down here, that might work. Okay. So what I've got here is the dial indicator has this pin. Then I don't know if you can see me pulling that pin in and out. I've got it pushed against the side of my polyethylene faces on my rip fence. Now, when the dial indicator goes against something and you've got it set in the T-track, or set in the miter slot, you have the capacity of turning the face, it's like the face of a clock, inside it. So I always try and get it back to 0 on the clock. And that way I can have a look, and it's easier for me to see whether I've got an advance away from me or a retarded towards me as I slide the indicator along. Now at the moment, I am now 3 thou away. See, if I pull it this way, you can see it goes one direction. So if I'm pulling it this way, it's coming in tighter, it's retarding towards me. The clock at the moment on that dial indicator is turning anti-clockwise, which means that this fence is further away at that point. Now, it's a good idea to have your fence have a slight pull away from you, but not to the degree that this is at the moment. Why would you want your fence to have a slight kick away from you at the tail end? First thing, so you don't get any jamming. You'll find that you'll get a cleaner cut with sheet goods, particularly if you have maybe 2 thou at the end away from where it's referencing at the front. Now, of course, that's depending on whether or not you've got your miter slots tuned to the blade as well, like I showed in the video that I released last night. Now, I'm going to push this all the way down to the other end, and we'll have a look what the dial indicator is telling me now. That's showing 11 thou. That's too much. That's 11 thousandths of an inch, which is just over 1/100th of an inch. That's leaning away. Now, how do I adjust that to get it to come back? Well, down at this end on my Weismeyer fence is, and I'll release it. You have to clamp it before you do all this. There are 2 screws, there and there. Now, I need to adjust the screw on the right hand side. I need to take it in a little bit, and that's going to bring the arm, the rip fence, around this way a little. So I need to go in. I'm going 1/8 of a turn, and we'll see how that goes. And the good thing about the dial indicator is that I can bring it back in until I'm touching, lock it in position. Now, as I said, I can rotate that clock face inside around until it gets to 0, because it was showing some insane space there, but it's best to do it at this end, of course. Well, that's already better. Man, oh man, look at that. Talk about fluking it. Okay, I'm on 0 there, and as I go down, it's moving around, 1 to 2 thou, which means my fence isn't great. I really do need to do something about the edge on that. And then coming back to there at rest, I'm ever so slightly too far. So I'm going to, I've actually come back too far, so I will remove it, put it up there, and then move it back maybe, look, it's only a very small amount that I've moved it, very small, maybe 1/32 of a turn, possibly not even that. Bring it back until it touches the indicator. Bring the dial indicator back to me. Set it to 0 again. Just rotating the clock face. See, if I'd left it at, say, 31, which is where it was, well, it'd be a pain in the neck to try and work out, okay, so 31, I'm down to 27 and up to 36. what's the differences there? It's a whole lot easier to work from naught. And so, all right, I'm -6 or +7. It's a whole lot easier. So I'm on 0. And remember, if it's going counterclockwise, it means the arm is around, this rip fence is too close to me. So I'm going down to the other end. And that, my friends, is 1/1000th of an inch away from me at that end. Now, the downside, of course, is that in the middle, it's tooth thou right there, and it's terrible there. There's a dip in it right in the middle there. It drops to 4th thou right on that spot. Now, obviously it might be a scratch that it's following. 4/1000th of an inch isn't a huge amount, but it does become concerning at that point. So I'm going to have to do something with this. I don't know. You can undo these. There's bolts on the inside. You can undo these because there's holes underneath. I'll show you that. See these holes here? That's where the bolt points are. So I can undo the wing, the faces on the fence, if I wish. Now, the other thing I want to do, we'll take the dial indicator out. I think that's enough for mucking around with the dial indicator. How good are these? I love these things. It's one of those things that a lot of people I've heard buy these and they say, oh, you know what, Dave, it was great when I bought it, but I've tuned everything up and I don't need it anymore. What a waste of money. But the thing is, if you're like me, it's not the only time you're going to do it. You'll want to keep on tuning things up. This might get a bump. You might put a new edge on the fence, like I'm just talking about there. You might get a new drill press that you want to check, see if there's any run out on the quill. You can set jointer blades with this if you've replaced your blades in the jointer. There's so many things you can do with it. I can check for run out on the arbor. There's all sorts of little gizmos in there. Again, I'm not doing this as an ad for it. I'm letting you know what I use. It's commonplace to have a dial indicator in the workshop. Now, the next thing I want to do, I'll pop all these out of the way, is I'll have a quick look at the chat. I'll tip this up slightly. That might get me. Yep, that's better. Okay. Well, we're going to get to that in a second. What are we going to do? Okay, Jim Dockrell, any significant side of wood will move more than 0.02 as the seasons change. Peter Robbins, I'm sure a small wobble in the saw blade will give more than 1/1000th of an inch. I'm sure it will. Okay, let me get back through here. I'm going to have a look at the rest of the chat here. Okay. The harbour bridge is amazing. Okay, the water is right up to the road. Okay. I'm up to where everyone was. Okay, Craig Howarth. Yep, Rianne, the harbour bridge is amazing. You are right. Craig Howarth, nice bit, John. Wayne Jones, top looking bench, John, well done. Exactly right, Jim. Lights make it very glary. Yes. So that's why I said, you know, I have that camera set for one exposure, so I'm not going to change it. Because the other thing that happens is I start to get a flicker. As it's going through the different parts of the spectrum, it'll start to flicker. Need some contrast, too bright. Yeah, sorry, Joe. Peter Robinson, maybe camera setting. Could be cramp. Hi, Dave. Looks like you are having fun. Hope you and your family are well. Your video was informative. Thank you. Jim Carroll, old school. Seeing it on the wall is easier. Yes, Jim Dockrell can't even plan a day, let alone a year. Good thing I have a wife that tells you what to do. Is that right? Sean Hay from Indiana. Zane, I don't have that much wall space. Well, sorry. What do you polish the tabletop with? I use silver glide. So it's this stuff here, and I'm going to get into all of that very soon. Sliding down through the chat, I'm sure a small wobble, Dave M, is that dial indicator kit local to Australia or available online? I think it is available online. I put a link to one that I found on Amazon in the States, and I think it's the same kit, but I think it's a pricey version they've got. So if you jump onto Amazon, you might do better than me going through the link that I supply, because, you know, why not? And if you can't find it anywhere else, I think it's around $120, $129, $120. It's around that price. So to give you an idea. Next thing. You can, in Australia, you can get them from Carvertech. Now, I wanted to show you setting up the blade this way, or the fence, I should say. And for that, I nearly stuffed up one of my calendars. Can't have that. Now, also with a Bias-Meyer fence, is that what they call them? Bessemer fence or Bias-Meyer, correct me if I'm wrong. I have a little square in this bunch of accessory stuff for the router table that I love. This is the squarest square I've got next to the TSO triangle. Now, that is pretty good. I can adjust it slightly. Now, to do this, you need to leave the clamp off. This locks the fence in position. You can't do anything if that's locked. Now, looking at that, I think the top is touching, the bottom is allowing the slightest bit of light in. So I'm going to lift it on this side, ever so slightly, until the light there we go. I can see the light at the top now. I see the light. Ever so slightly back. That's it. Beautiful. Now those ones being nylon tend to lock themselves into position. I'm going to test it as well by pushing the clamp down. I always hold the fence in position while I push it down. It'll pull itself correct. But let's have a look. Spot on. Spot on. Spot on. That is absolutely beautiful. Why is it important? All right. Say I'm cutting some timber, and just for an example, grab one of these little things out. So I'm cutting some thin timber. It's going to be pushing at that height, which means the width that I've set the blade or the cut for will be wherever it is there. Now, if this fence had a lean out for whatever reason or in, the further up, the thicker the piece of timber is, say the timber's this thick, up to there, well then it's going to give me a different width overall, because it's the top point or the bottom point is actually going to be the point that connects with the timber, and that will be the reference that the blade is cutting from. So it's very important to keep this square. A lot of people don't realise that. They think keep it square this way, but it's also it's crucial to have it square vertically as well. How are we doing for time? Let's get into cleaning this. Today's moving along well. It's like every week. I think to myself, I think I've talked about everything I can ever talk about. What am I going to talk about this week? And as if by some miracle, it happens. Now, I'll take the insert out to do this and grab some valise. Now, it's spelt valise, it's pronounced valise, fleece. This is 800 grit fleece. This is 280. They are an aluminium oxide pad with a Velcro backing that goes straight onto my 6-inch orbital sander. Now, they don't have to be a Festool sander. Any 6-inch sander will do this. But here's something. I don't know if you could be able to see this. Okay, thanks for the link. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. In the shop with you, David. Good. David M. Always heard it called a Bias-Meyer fence. Have a great day. Have to go back to work. Okay, Martin, very good. Right, I'm going to put this up close to the screen here, and you tell me whether you can read it. Now, these are different grades of paper that Festool sell. Now, you'll see down the bottom, I think it's down the bottom. I better put my specs on so I can see what the hell's going on here. All right. So, valise, the one at the bottom there. Let's See here? You can see here, these are the different grades. So I use 280 and 800. Here are the numbers for them. Now whether or not those numbers are still current or not, I don't know. Festool tend to change their numbers around a fair bit. So the 800 or the 280. Now the reason I use the 280 is if the product, if the top has got some really bad marking on it or a bad rust spot. Now on this, it's not too bad, but even so, there's a fair bit of cut over there. All right, I'm going to go to the 280. It's got a little bit of wax on it as well, which isn't going to be great, but anyway. Now, one of the things that I do with this is I wear my dust extractor because actually I'm going to plug this into my little dust extractor here because that might be smarter. So give me a second. Plug that into there. I was going to wear the helmet, but I don't think there was any need. If I use this, it collects pretty well. When I'm waxing or doing the clean off with the Silver Glide, I'm not going to now. I might run over time a little bit today, but that doesn't matter because I was about 5 minutes late starting because of that massive headache at the beginning. A hose always works well. Again, I always hang my hoses up if I can, especially the green ones, because they're a little bit stiffer. These things are carbon impregnated. That's how they carry. They carry an electrical current if they were asked to. That's how they get rid of the static. They're carbon impregnated, and all the way through, right back to into there, there's a connection to the earth point that goes through to the mains. So, nice job, nice job. Here we go. I'll do a little bit with this. Here we go. Sorry, I forgot to say there's going to be a bit of a noise. So here we go again. There, but it's not too bad. I heard a comment about the SysVac. It's a great little system, it works great. I haven't given that as much as I could. I'd probably spend a little bit more time with that one. But there was a mark down here, pardon me, there's a mark down here that's just about gone. And what I am going to do is turn something else on. There we go. That's my room air filter. I normally turn that on as soon as I walk in the door, but it's slowly going to clean the room for me. And I should have really had a dust mask on doing that. But this is pretty good. But you know, it's they're your lungs. Now the next thing to do is to give it a quick rub with a cloth, just to pick up any residue that's kicked around. Again, this is an old piece of sheet that I've had lying around. And it doesn't take long for a tabletop to clean up nicely. Alright, next thing. Silver Glide. I'll do a little bit of reading. Where do you get the dial indicator bar to hold the dial indicator? It all comes as a kit. So that link that I've put in the description box in the video for the dial indicator, that's the whole kit. Now Silver Glide is a kind of a paste wax that's designed for cast iron tops. I put it on sparingly. I don't really put wads on. I just put a little bit on. And as I say, I'll just be doing this one side. It leaves a residue, and as you're putting it on, you'll realize sometimes I'm not really getting the proper amount of residue. I'm only getting the liquid part of the Silver Glide. I'm not actually getting any of the paste retaining there. You might see that you'll have areas that you can see there's a definite deposit left there, not a clear lotion. So look for that deposit as you're going. Rub it in, and I normally leave it there and have a coffee. So there we go. That's that part done. And I'll bring it up closer so you can see what it looks like. And then on the rag, so you leave it like that. And how's the time going? 12 o'clock. And as I say, I leave it there for about 10 minutes. But I don't have that time to do it at the moment, so I'll do it now. I'll have a quick read. No. Would I do anything prior? Oh, look, if with surface rust, I might wipe it out, put some terps on it, turpentine, and wipe it over. I'll tell you what I have got that's going to be interesting. And that isn't this the way. This is after I've done stuff. Now, these things here are brilliant. These are nitrile gloves, and I got the medium-sized glove. Now, you know, I'm 5'10", and I got average size hands for a 5'10" person. I bought the medium gloves. They were too small. My wife is around 5'5", and they fit her perfectly. I got the large size, and I'll show you how easy it is. Do you fight with these things when you put them on? You think, how the hell am I going to get them on? I found the large size was absolutely perfect. Dr. Dave here. Okay, so the nitrile gloves I find hold together. I bought cheaper gloves from Aldi, I bought cheaper gloves from Bunnings, and I find they break down really quickly and tear, and I've end up, you know, like the father out of Steptoe and Son. You know, the gloves that he used to wear, all the fingers were popping out the end, the gloves were just around there. I'm showing my age, aren't I? Okay, the nitrile gloves are fantastic, especially when I'm changing the oil in the car. I did it the other week, and I thought, I'll throw the gloves on, because you always get the oil comes down when you crack the sump plug. Oil goes everywhere. It normally falls in the drain bucket that I've got there, but it goes all over your fingers. So I haven't found a way of not having that happen, especially taking the filter out when you're underneath the car. All right, now, have a look at that coming up. The good thing about Silver Glide is that when you've finished doing it, it doesn't affect the timber at all. It leaves no residue on the timber, and there's no silicone in it, so it's not going to affect. Look at the rubbish coming off. it's not going to affect the any finish that you put on. Like a lot of people say, "Oh, right, well, I want to put a stain on the timber after I've built this beautiful box." And you're going to be, if you use a car polish, which I know a lot of people do, or a wax of some sort, the project, you may as well put it in the bin, because if you want to put a finish on it, it's not going to take it. That's the first thing. Let's get it up with a cleaner rag. I try and get the table around it as well. If you've got an outfeed table, make sure that you clean it all off the outfeed table as well. The laminate doesn't really take it very quickly, so I'm pretty fine with that. But that's great. That's going to be super slippery. Let's try the insert on it. How good is that? Beautiful. All right, I think that would be just about it. So yeah, the question was cleaning off rust beforehand, some terps, put some terps over it with the gloves on, and then maybe probably a cloth to clean the terps off, because the terps is going to loosen things up. Get rid of that. If you need to, maybe a Scotch pad, maybe even 280 Valais. But if you do that, be aware that as soon as you turn the sander on, it's going to spread it everywhere, and you're going to get that mess traveling up all the way through the sanding pad, and it may not be very good if you want to use that sander for other things further down the track. So if you get a Valais pad or Felice pad, go by hand with the terps, clean all the residue off, and then go with a 280 on the random orbital over the top. And then if you really want to be a perfectionist, go to the 800, which is super fine. I use the 800, and I also use the 280 for waxing. The 800 gives a really super clean, fine finish. Anyway, I'm going to move the camera over the other side. Over to there. Come around to the other side. Just give Dave some more thumbs up. You guys look after me too well. All it is Dave in a garage having a chat. Okay. I've left the mouse somewhere. There it is. So it was a bumpy start to the show today, wasn't it? I hope that doesn't happen again. I don't know what happened. Just weird. There was no sound, so I had to kill it and reboot the whole thing. Start it up again. All right. What else? What else has been happening? Not much. Just busy. Coming up towards the Christmas period, I did mention last week that the holidays are coming upon us quicker than I'd like them to be. Another year gone. Goodness gracious. Goodness gracious. How many people say that these days? I really am showing my age. I think that'll be about it for today, guys. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a good week. I hope everyone stays safe.